Shalom, shalom, shalom. Israel giving no praise to Yahweh. Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Chakadash, the ones to the LGG, Meshu, Ruel, citation to Akim out there pushing his word and truth and sincerity, risking your freedom. Again, risking your freedom and your life to do so. Back with another video. I meant, like I said, Salakia for the time delay. I meant to, do this a long time ago. But I think I want to break this up in a few parts. And, this is from the History Channel. So this is well-documented, true fact of life. And this, even though they don't know it, is an indication of who we are as a people, that we are the Israelites according to the Bible. And that everything that was said, during when our God, Yahweh, delivered us out of Egypt, when he outlined the curses from Deuteronomy 28, chapter 15 verse, on up to 68, everything that would happen to us if we disobeyed his word, it came to pass. And as you can see from the title, it says, one of the last slave ship survivors describes his ordeal in a 1930s interview. And when you read it, I'm not going to read everything, but the way he details is exactly what took place. Exactly that what happened, or what Moses said would happen if we disobey his word. So we're going to read a little bit, get a few scriptures. I'm going to make it short, but I want to definitely make a few more videos because it's a few accounts of, different Hebrews, different of our people, telling, this interview what took place. So let's start. This is Zora Neale Hurston's searing book about Cudjoe Lewis brought to Alabama abroad the Clotilda, the last known U.S. slave ship. Took nearly 90 years to find a publisher. More than 60 years after the abolish of slavery, and that's slavery is not abolished according to the 13th Amendment. So if you do commit a crime, you can become a slave legally, all right? But so far as chattel slavery, just snatching everybody up and putting chains on them, is not so anymore. But it says anthropologist Zora Neale Hurston made an incredible connection. She located one of the last survivors of the last slave ship to bring captive Africans to the United States. And we not Africans. We're the Hebrews, right? Hebrew Israelites of the Bible. It said Hurston, a known figure of the Harlem Renaissance, who would later write the novel Their Eyes Were Watching God, conducted interviews with Alo Kosala, renamed Cudjoe Lewis. All right, Lewis is the name of his slave master, but struggled to publish them as a book in the early 1930s. In fact, they were only released to the public in a book called Barracoon, the story of the last black cargo, that came out in May of 2018. And this is the woman, she died, will rest her soul. And she was able to interview, the experience of, our nation and what they physically had to go through, what it was like. So Hurston's book tells the story of Lewis, who was born Alu Kasala in what is now the West African country of Benin, a member of the Yoruba people. Now, if you look into Yoruba people, they descend from the Hebrews, the Hebrew Israelites. They're the Jews, all right? As many of our people are. You American blacks, y'all are the Jews of the Bible. Y'all God's chosen people. Y'all don't even know it. But I don't want to switch topic. He was only 19 years old when members of the neighboring Dahomean tribe invaded his village. Now these are original Africans, okay? These were the Philistines, the Egyptians, the Canaanites you hear about, the natural-born enemies of Jerusalem. And if you go in Joel 3rd chapter, verse 2, it tells verse 3, I believe, it tells you how Tyre, Zidon, these African tribes, rounded us up and sold us to the Grecians, the Greeks, the so-called white people, all right? So, so it says, catching him along with others and marched them to the coast. There you go. There he and about 120 others were sold into slavery and crammed onto the Clotilda, which is the slave ship, the last slave ship to reach the continental United States. The Clotilda brought its captives to Alabama in 1860, just a year before the outbreak of the Civil War. Even though slavery was legal at the time in the U.S., the international slave trade was not, and hadn't been for over 50 years. Along with many European nations, the U.S. had outlawed the practice in 1800s. But Lewis' journey is an example of how slave traders went around law to continue bringing over human cargo. To avoid detection, Lewis' captors snuck him and other survivors into Alabama at night and made them hide in a swamp for several days to hide the evidence of their crime. The 86-foot sailboat was then set ablaze on the banks of Mobile Tensaw Delta. His remains may have been uncovered during 2018. So look at that, man. They was rounded up and put enslaved by the neighboring African tribes, and they sold them to Europeans to ship them to Alabama. Most poignantly, Lewis' narrative provides a first-hand account of the disorienting trauma of slavery. After being abducted from his home, Lewis was forced onto a ship with strangers. There you go. Forced onto a ship with strangers. The abductees spent several months together during the treacherous passage of the United States, but were then separated in Alabama to go to different owners. Look, so they bring out these articles not knowing that this is going to identify who the people of God is. I'll start with this. Deuteronomy 28 verse 15. This is basic. But it should come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Right. So Moses is speaking to the children of Israel when he came down from Mount Sinai, about laws, statutes, commandments that we shall keep, and he's going to be our God, and he's going to bless us above all people, and do nothing but good, and bless us, and treat him and cherish us because we follow his ways. Now, if we don't hearken, which I just read, he should put curses on you. Now, you can read from 15 all the way to 68 of everything that happened, but the main thing I really want is Deuteronomy 28 verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again. Now, Egypt is synonymous with bondage. If you go into Hebrew, the Hebrew word is Montezarium. Montezarium, which means between two straits. Straits meaning a position of difficulty. So when you're between two straits, it's like you're between a rock and a hard place. Meaning Egypt was a hard thing for Israel. It was very treacherous. It was very oppressive. It was between two straits. That's what Montezarium means. So the Lord said he's going to, because we walked out of Egypt. Egypt just literally means slavery. So the Lord is going to bring us to slavery again with ships, okay? We just outlined from the article we read that our people was getting snatched up from the villages they were living in the west coast of Africa and being put on slaves with complete strangers, okay? So this happens to us. By the way, well, I spake unto thee, thou shalt see no more again, meaning our homeland. And there you should be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen. And when we got off those ships, I just read it. Now we provide first-hand account of the disorienting trauma and slavery. After being abducted from his home, Lewis was forced onto a ship with strangers The adoptees spent several months together during the treacherous passages to the United States, but were separated in Alabama to go to different owners. Okay, so you're gonna be sold. Once you get off those ships, you're gonna be sold to your enemies for bondmen, bondwomen, and no man should buy you. Buy you is an old English word for redeem or to save you. So nobody saved us out of this condition that we was in. I'm gonna cut it short, and I want to make a 2-part series about this, because there's a lot of heavy information about what happened to the quote-unquote West Africans that got sold and snatched off that ship and came to America. All right, we are the Hebrew Israelites. Okay, we are the people of the Bible, and it's about time Israel wakes up to their identity. So with that, I want to say all praise Yahweh Shalom.